Так, усім доброго вечора. Добрий вечір, рада вас вітати. Сподіваюся, що мене добре чутно і видно. Так, хочу представитися. Мене звати Дар'я Герасимова. Я старша викладачка і методистка в мережі шкіл Green Country та тренерка Академії Talking Cloud. І я рада сьогодні бути з вами і проводити вебінар про Dictation. Тому наш вебінар проводиться з трансляцією на YouTube, тому я буду бачити ваші запитання, ваші коментарі у YouTube-чаті. Тому поки усі приєднуються, я думаю, буквально півхвилинки і будуть нас вже більше доєднуватися, ви можете написати, щоб мене добре чутно і видно, а також можете написати, звідки ви нас дивитеся, з якого міста. Дуже-дуже цікаво буде почути, звідки сьогодні приєднуються наші учасники. Отож, так, да, бачу, що вже доєднуються перші учасники. Добрий вечір усім. Отож, як я вже сказала, сьогодні ми поговоримо з вами про диктанти, і мова вебінару буде англійська, але перед тим, як ми перейдемо безпосередньо до теми, я хотіла би сказати декілька організаційних моментів, а саме розповісти вам про платформу Talking Cloud, завдяки якій, за підтримки якої ми сьогодні проводимо цей вебінар. Тому трохи інформації на українській мові, а потім ми знову з вами перейдемо на англійську і будемо вже говорити безпосередньо про тему вебінару. Отож, секундочку. Мгм. Отож, розповім вам трохи про платформу Talking Cloud, яка є all-inclusive для викладання англійської мови. Тому, якщо ви ще досі не знайомі з платформою Talking Cloud, це добра нагода швиденько дізнатися, що є основного та цікавого на цій платформі, а потім ви зможете також після вебінару спробувати і дізнатися більше про нашу платформу. Отож, Talking Cloud – це платформа для викладання для викладачів англійської, яка включає в себе бібліотеку інтерактивних підручників. Тобто на нашій платформі ви зможете знайти вже готові розроблені підручники і їх бібліотеку саме онлайн-підручників. Також вона включає в себе систему менеджменту навчального процесу, LMS-систему, яка допоможе вам з організацією навчального процесу, а також Академія розвитку мовних шкіл, саме завдяки якій ви сьогодні слухаєте цей вебінар. Отож, давайте трошки детальніше поговоримо про ці складові, буквально декілька хвилинок. Тож, що таке бібліотека інтерактивних підручників і що ви зможете там знайти? На нашій платформі є більше 50 інтерактивних цифрових підручників для рівнів від Pre-A1 до C1 для школярів та дорослих учнів. Ці підручники інтерактивні, як ми вже зазначили, так? Тобто ви зможете робити вправи, ви і ваші учні зможуть виконувати вправи онлайн на платформі, що дуже-дуже зручно. Також на платформі існує так званий Teacher's Guide. Що це таке? Це деталізовані плани занять до кожного підручника, які вмістять в собі коментарі, нотатки, похвилинні плани, які ви зможете використовувати для цих же інтерактивних підручників. Тобто все для вас вже зроблено, і ви зможете дуже легко їх використовувати для своїх занять. Далі, трекінг прогресу учнів у виконанні завдань у підручниках. Дуже зручна функція, бо ви зможете відслідковувати прогрес ваших учнів у виконанні як домашнього завдання, так і виконанні завдань під час уроку. Ви зможете відслідковувати прогрес учнів та, наприклад, і батьки, або якщо це дорослі учні, вони також зможуть відслідковувати свій прогрес. Також на платформі є система тестів з автоматизованою перевіркою до кожного підручника, а також плейсмент-тест, який дозволить вам швидко визначити правильний рівень ваших учнів. Також хочу зазначити, що тести є з автоматизованою перевіркою. Це значить, що ви дуже зберігаєте собі час на перевірку тестів, і все дуже зручно. Далі, також у нас є бібліотека інтерактивних воркшітів на різні теми, починаючи від лексичних тем до граматичних тем на різні рівні. Вони є в відкритому доступі на різні теми і рівні, починаючи від базових тем до найактуальніших тем, які можуть бути, які тільки можуть бути. Тому це дуже цікава штука, яку ви можете використовувати додатково на своїх заняттях. А також, якщо ви зацікавлені в створенні своїх власних воркшітів, своїх власних завдань, на платформі існує конструктор інтерактивних воркшітів, що дозволить вам створити власні воркшіти для ваших уроків. Також хочу зазначити, що на платформі існує система менеджменту навчального процесу, LMS-система, і вона дозволяє зручно керувати навчальним процесом, незважаючи на те, чи ви велика школа освітня, чи ви репетитор, дуже зручно допомагає контролювати і організовувати навчальний процес. Що в себе включає LMS-система? На платформі ви зможете створювати профілі учнів, об'єднувати їх у групи, якщо ви проводите групові заняття, або призначати індивідуальні заняття. Також ви зможете генерувати розклад уроків, можна генерувати розклад уроків, і ваші учні, ваші студенти будуть знати їх актуальний розклад, і це буде дуже зручно відслідковувати і бачити. Також прикріплення вступного тесту з автоматизованим визначенням рівня англійської, та про це, що я казала, placement тест. Також є органайзер розкладу роботи вчителя та електронний журнал, що зробить вашу роботу та відслідковування прогресу учня набагато швидше і легше. Домашні завдання та зворотній зв'язок від вчителя учнів. Так, як я вже говорила, наші підручники є інтерактивними, тому ви зможете легко перевіряти домашні завдання ваших учнів та надавати зворотній зв'язок. І, звичайно, зручний перехід на онлайн-заняття. Якщо ви проводите ваші заняття онлайн, ваші учні зможуть дуже швидко прямо з платформи перейти на онлайн-заняття. І, звичайно, прогрес виконання завдань в інтерактивних підручниках і автоматизована перевірка тестів. Все це ви зможете відслідковувати на своєму профілі на платформі Talking Cloud. Отож, давайте рухатися далі. І для кого може бути цікава наша платформа і які можливості вона надає? Якщо ви керівники, засновники, менеджери освітніх шкіл, це дає вам можливість налагодити навчальні процеси, спростити менеджерську рутину. Також це легкий перехід між змішаним та онлайн або офлайн навчанням. Це значно економить ресурси на пошуки або розробку програми освітньої, стандартизовує якості ваших послуг, а також все-таки це сучасна модель викладання. Якщо ж ви вчитель або репетитор, який зараз працює індивідуально, то це значно економить ваш час на підготовку до занять, також економить час на перевірку завдань і тестів ваших учнів, і ви зможете контролювати своє навантаження, ефективно менеджити свій таймінг і, звичайно, адаптовуватися під потреби ваших учнів, що дуже зручно з платформою Talking Cloud. Так, це, в принципі, вся інформація, і я хотіла ще також згадати, що після цього вебінару ви зможете, після реєстрації на вебінар, всі учасники отримують у підтвердження реквізити для оплати, і ви зможете отримати сертифікат про відвідування вебінару. Ви можете здійснити оплату та надіслати скрін квитанції на нашу скриньку, а учасники, які вже надіслали скрин заздалегідь, мали отримати підтвердження або повідомлення. І хочу нагадати, що протягом 24 годин після вебінару усі, хто оплатив, отримують на свої скриньки тест. І у разі успішного виконання тесту на 80 і більше відсотків, ви автоматично отримуєте сертифікат про проходження вебінару. І хочу зауважити, що кількість спроб на виконання тесту не обмежена. А після вебінару ви також отримаєте summary email зі статтею підсумком та нагадуванням про можливість замовити сертифікат, раптом ви ще його не замовили. Так, сертифікат можна також оплатити після вебінару, раптом ви захочете його отримати. Отож, на цьому трошечки затягнулася організаційна частинка, але зараз я переходжу на англійську мову і ми будемо говорити безпосередньо про вебінар. So, guys, could see a lot of people from different places. That's very nice. Let's start talking about our topic for today. And I would like to start with a few short questions to you. As you can see, today we will talk about dictations, their types and techniques. And actually, that is a very interesting topic to talk about. And I would like to start with few questions that I said. So please type in the chat, in YouTube chat, what comes to your mind when you hear the word dictation. So what is the first image that comes to your mind when you hear the word dictation? Hmm? So I'm going to wait a few seconds, yeah, because it may take some time. So I have some first answers. Okay, words, writing some words. Someone didn't switch to English keyboard. Okay, sheet of paper, pen, nothing else on the desk. Again, words and correct spelling. Attention. Writing the words. Okay, and a few more questions to you. Do you currently use dictations in your lessons? If yes, you may state how or how often, for example. If not, why not? What do you think about them? And or if you're using dictations, when was the last time you gave your students a dictation activity? And while you are writing the answers for the next two questions, I would like to read a few more. Yeah, speed, stress, mistakes, stress. Interesting. Is it stress for pronunciation or stress when you are nervous? Okay. Writing words, sentences, oral checking. Teacher said you're right. Okay. So please, I'm waiting for your answers for the next two questions. Okay, someone's right. Oh no, not again. Okay, you write words in Ukrainian, students write in English. Sometimes, 2 times a week. Making sentences. Often while checking lexical material. Okay. Okay, I can see that someone uses it quite often. Someone once a month. Audio dictation, which is nice. Okay. All right. Or someone hardly ever uses it. All right. So actually, that brings us to our agenda for today. And we'll talk today about different types of dictations, classroom strategies for managing timing, error correction, and how to keep students engaged during dictation. And we will also, you will also see some digital tools for dictations in online classes. I will actually mention some of them while talking about dictation times and some extra types, some extra tools in the end of our webinar. So, Let's begin. And our first scene is like why to use dictation. Someone says it's a good tool, yeah, and you use it often. Someone says that you hardly ever use dictations. So actually, dictation. Some teachers may think that dictations are a terrible episode from your old school from your school days, and a reason to be nervous and hate the learning process. However, this method of learning English can be interesting, useful, interactive, and most importantly, it may not remind students of boring school dictations and like monotonous voice of teacher if organized properly. So, as to say, dictations used to be a one-way teacher-centered practice, but today it's different. Today its value lies in student collaboration, active reconstruction, error analysis, personalized feedback, and use of multimedia and digital tools, of course. So that that brings us to talk about aims of dictations. Yeah, and of course, why do we use dictations? Why it's still good to use dictations? They help developing listening accuracy. Dictations train learners to recognize sound and spelling relationship, connected speech intonation patterns, and this helps them become more precise listeners, especially in authentic situations. The next one is going to be reinforcing grammar and vocabulary. And I guess this is the main aim of using dictations for most of teachers, yeah, to check vocabulary. Comprehension and grammar usually, and sure, learners notice grammar structures, punctuation, collocations, and common chunks of language when they are required to reproduce them in writing. Dictation naturally encourages noticing, really essential process for language acquisition. The next one is going to be improving spelling and writing. When we use dictation, it connects to writing, mm, listening to writing, and it strengthens spelling, paragraphing, and overall writing fluency. The next one, it encourages attention and concentration. Someone wrote in the comments, attention. Yeah, so students should pay attention. And dictation requires learners to focus deeply, fostering active processing rather than passive listening. And also, it providing low-risk speaking opportunities. What does that mean? For some types of dictation, I will mention them today. Dictation requires students to listen, discuss, and reconstruct text, making dictations highly communicative, not only individual type of work. Yeah, so I will show you some types of dictations where you can use this technique. So, let's move on. Let's talk about these types of dictations. Yes, we don't have a lot of time, so we'll keep it really short, and we will start with a standard dictation. And I guess this one is the typical one that teachers use in the lessons. The easiest one to conduct, where students listen to short text and write exactly what they hear. The teacher may read once for general listening, then again for meaningful chunks for writing, and finally once more at normal speed for checking. And then learners may compare their versions in pairs, for example, or check with original text for self-correction, or the teacher can check the dictations of students. For each slide, I prepared short comments where and why can you use these dictations and what is it best used for? So, for example, the standard dictation is best for working with spelling, sentence structure, and punctuation, and it's simple to run and ideal for lower levels. So, if we are talking about some tips that I may give to you on standard dictation, that for lower levels you may use you may shorten sentences or add pauses. For higher levels, use longer texts and more connected texts. Also, encourage delayed correction rather than correcting during writing. I will talk about correcting a bit more a bit later. So, the next type of dictation is going to be partial or gap dictation. Um, by the way, if you heard of like when I'm going to talk about each type of dictation, you may type a plus or minus in the chat if you have heard about such type of dictation or not. So we'll check which of them do you know, which of them not. So, yeah, partial dictation, what is it? So, actually, that's another way of conducting a dictation, and it's best for practicing targeted grammar or vocabulary. Yeah, you can both practice vocabulary and grammar with it. And students receive a gapped version of a text and listen to the teacher reading the full version. And after an initial listening, they hear the text again more slowly and fill in the missing words or phrases. Then learners can compare in pairs and justify their choices before checking with the final reading or the complete text. So basically, you can turn the usual fill in the gap activity, but not sentences, but the text, yeah, in another way of activity using dictation. Uh, if we're talking about the benefits of this type of dictation, it supports weaker learners and allows focus on specific language points. Okay, and if I give you some tips on conducting this type of activity, this type of dictation, it is useful for practicing article use, verb forms, collocations, and as I said, it supports weaker learners because they have the context on paper. Yeah, they have some part of text, they feel more confident, less stressed, and it actually makes the activity easier for them. And yeah, as I said, you can make gaps easier or harder depending on the level, the group level. It may be one word, it may be a few phrases, or even a sentence. So I wanted to show you an example of partial dictation, and actually it is very easy to conduct in offline lessons, right? You just give a text with gapped words, yeah, with the gaps. So it's understandable how to do it offline, but how to do it online? So here comes our very famous websites or platforms for creating online activities, and they are Wordwall and learning apps. At these websites, you can create tasks which are complete the sentences or close test and create the text with gaps. So here is an example for you of word wall task, and here is an example of the task on learning apps. So on the word wall, you choose the type of activity or complete the sentence, and on the learning apps, you choose the close test. And I wanted to say that when you are choosing these online platforms, online tools for partial dictation, please remember that your students will have immediate feedback because they will check themselves immediately. Um, if you would like to do it in a way of delayed feedback, yeah, then you may use Google Docs or any other types of platforms where they can receive a delayed feedback. Here, they will actually get their immediate feedback with immediate answers. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So, great, familiar platforms. I could see it. And someone says that partial or gap dictation is what I once applied in listening exercise. Yeah, nice idea. So the next one is dictogloss. And yeah, if you heard about it before, please plus or minus, put plus and minus. It's also may called reconstruction dictation. And this one is good for communicative skills. It is best for grammar noticing, paraphrasing, and collaborative learning. It is highly communicative because your students will collaborate together, they will work together to reconstruct the text. And it boosts analytical thinking, of course. So, what is the point of dictogloss? How to conduct it? So basically, students listen to a short text and take only minimal notes, not the whole text as we used to do, yeah, like teacher dictates, students write. No, only minimal notes. After second listening, they work in pairs or in groups to reconstruct the text as closely as possible in meaning and structure. They compare their versions with the other groups before checking against the original text and analyze the differences in grammar or paraphrasing of phrasing. Sorry. Um, yeah, so as you could understand, yes, students should work together to complete and reconstruct the text together, yeah, in groups. So as for tips, you may choose short but rich texts and encourage collaborative negotiation. This is actually where the learning happens. And if it still seems strange and something new for you, I would like you to scan the QR code and see extra video. So if you're using the phone, you may take a screenshot and then scan the QR code later. So here you will find the YouTube video where this type of dictation is conducted in the classroom. So you will see the example how the teacher conducts the dictogloss. So it's really easy and it's really interesting way of dictation. So please scan the QR code and you can watch it later, of course. Yeah, it's an extra resource for you. You can also make a screenshot or watch it later if you will watch the recording. If you watch the recording. Okay, let's move on. So the next one is going to be running dictation, and I guess this one is known by teachers, yes, because you could have heard about running dictations, where students work in pairs, with one acting as a runner who memorizes small chunks of text posted around the room and dictate them to the writer. So there are two roles, runner and writer, and they work together. The writer records exactly what they hear, and then they continue until the entire text is reconstructed. And then they compare with another pair or they compare with original text. It's very nice because you can use it with kinesthetic learners. It is good for teamwork. It is good for speaking and listening. Also, why this type of dictation is good to use? Because it's energizing, it's fun, it's excellent for pronunciation practice. And as for some tips, as I said, it's good for energizing sleepy groups. Yeah, so if your group lack some stirring activities, yeah, running dictation is the one that you should use. Also, it emphasizes memory. Runners may not take their phones or notebooks, they should remember and they should then work with the writer to reconstruct the text. And then also you can allow pairs to switch roles um, halfway through for fairness. Yep. So the next one is picture dictation. So I can see, by the way, that someone knows some of them types of dictation, someone doesn't. So that's nice. That means that this webinar is actually useful for you. So the next one is picture dictation. And this one is also good for listening, for detail and description. Um, so what is the main point of picture dictation? Students listen to the teacher describe a simple picture, or it may be actually part of a short text, and they draw exactly what they hear, focusing on shapes, positions, details, and after a second listening for checking, they compare drawings in pairs with their partners, or they may discuss differences before seeing the original picture to evaluate accuracy. Uh, Yeah, it's also called drawing dictation. So two names are possible: picture dictation or drawing dictation. And mm, it is great for teaching prepositions. Yeah, like next to, behind, above. You can teach prepositions with it. Or, as I said, for description. Yeah, describing, for example, appearance. It you may increase difficulty by describing more complex sentences. And you can encourage students to dictate their own picture to partners for follow-up practice. Um, Yep. And I wanted to show you an example of this type of dictation. So, for example, you dictate such a piece of text. Yeah, this boy is not tall and he is chubby, he has got a small nose, and so on. And for example, an artificial intelligence made this picture for me, but your students may draw a picture of this boy. So, one more thing that I wanted to share with you. Yeah, so mhm. It's a QR code with another video for drawing dictation. So which is interesting because I can see it in the comments. Um, yeah, you if you seen the drawing dictation in the video, so you may find both drawing dictation and dictogloss on the channel that I put in the QR code. Yeah, so you can watch it later and see the example how to conduct these types of dictation. Yeah, so you may take a screenshot or you may scan the QR code and save it for later and see the example. All right, let's move on to the next one. And this one is very interesting. And as I personally love working with music, with videos, and dictations with music and videos are great for connected speech, for working with pronunciation and authentic listening. It is motivating. It brings some real world context to your lessons. And the point of this dictation is where students listen to an audio or video clip and complete gaps in a worksheet with missing words or phrases. So basically, it's the type of task that you may thought that it's not a dictation, yeah, but we can call it like this because students still listen. They they comprehend the information, yeah, then they fill in the gaps from their memory or from listening, right? And they may listen it twice, then check in pairs, check individually, and final listening confirms their choices before comparing with the full script. Okay, someone says it's your favorite type, and okay, so oh, sorry. Um, yeah, some tips for you. So you may use clips with clear but authentic pronunciation, highlight the features of connected speech, and it's actually motivating for teens and young adults. You may choose some contents they enjoy. And as I promised to give some online tools next to dictation types, yeah? So some online platforms that you may use for these dictations and work exactly on the platform. There are live worksheets. So I guess you may have seen this website. And one more is called Wizard Me. So it's very easy to create worksheets there, and you can create not only fill in the gaps tasks, but also you can create extra tasks for this at this website. I wanted to show the example of interactive worksheet on the website Wizard.me. Yeah, so for example, you can create not only the gaps, but as a main type of dictation, but you can also create other types of exercises like matching, like just singing, attach the video to it, so you can work easily. Mm. And yeah, that's another useful platform for you to use. It's called Wizard.me. So live worksheets or Wizard.me for creating dictations with sounds and videos. Yeah, let's move on. And the next one is going to be word fields dictation, where students listen to a short story and identify all words related to a specific topic. I will show you an example and you will understand that it's pretty cool. After these dictations, they can compare answers in pairs and just justify why each word fit the word field. This type of dictations is very good for vocabulary revision, for theme-based listening, and lexical awareness. And if we talk about some tips for you, uh, you better start with clear, concrete categories for the level of learners. It may be like animals, colors, places, and for mixed ability groups, you may provide a word bank for weaker students to choose the form. So here is an example for you, and it's really easy to conduct. You provide a text. You may provide the worksheet with a text, or you may dictate it, yeah, and ask to find the words related, for example, to traveling. And while your students are listening and reading the text, they find and circle or underline the words related to traveling. For example, here in this text, it was flight, passport, suitcase, and so on. So another type of dictation for you. And few more left. So, bilingual dictation. Students listen to a passage in English with selected keywords in the target language in their mother tongue. They write the whole passage and use context to infer the meaning and function of the target language words. It's good to use with beginners or pre-intermediate levels. And you can start only with a few target language words and then increase number over time. You can choose stories with strong contextual clues or and also pair weaker strong and stronger students for support. Here is an example for you. Uh, Again, easy to conduct. So you create a text in English and you choose some targeted vocabulary and change them to Ukrainian, for example, and your students should substitute them with English words. All right, let's move on to the last type of dictation for you, which is called sandwich dictation. So basically, it's good for intermediate and higher levels because it helps practicing narrative skills. It encourages using imagination, extended speaking and writing. So the teacher dictates the first half of the text or selected some lines, and students write exactly what they hear. And then the teacher may ask students to continue the story themselves, completing the second half using their own ideas. After writing, students can compare in pairs or with the original text. So, some tips for you that you may keep it keep the dictated section short and clear, provide optional prompts for weaker students, and allow students to read each other creative endings for motivation. Here is an example for you. So, how to set the task? Teacher dictates the first sentence and then asks students to add some more details. Teacher dictates the next part and asks students to describe, for example, what villagers might be preparing for. Teacher dictates the next part and asks to add more sentences about the previous part. Yeah, and in such way, you may check, you may do the standard dictation plus some kind of creative dictation. Okay, so we have like little time left, so that's all about of dictation, and I will quickly tell you about some classroom strategies that you may use to keep your dictation successful. And the first one is going to be, of course, about timing. Keep it short. Why to keep it short? So dictations are actually not a long type of work. Most dictation tasks work best when kept within 5-10 minutes, not the whole lesson. So long dictations can increase cognitive load and like reduce accuracy and bring more stress to students. So don't keep it long. You can use timers and If you have a short dictation activity, it keeps students focused. It reduces anxiety and leave time for reconstruction and feedback for you, of course. So the next one is read in stages. What does that mean? To have again, if you read in stages, it means that consistent reading routine will help students to process the test more effectively. Uh, what is the recommended sequence of reading? So first of all, you read in natural speed to get the general idea. Then you read in slow or chunked speed, yeah, so for accurate writing, and the normal speed again to check the work. And one more tip for you, if you teach online, you may tell your students to turn off notifications or mute all microphones for clear listening. And if we are talking about timing, don't forget to include some reconstruction time. Um, as I told you, for some types of dictations, yeah, like dictogloss, sandwich dictation, running dictations, they need some time to reconstruct the text together. And that's why you should leave some time for that, not only listening, but also reconstructing. For example, for offline classes, after dictations, students might rebuild the paragraph in groups of three or in groups of four. Yeah, you can give them 5-7 minutes to do so, and you may set the task like this. Your goal is not to make it identical, but grammatical, logical, and close in meaning. If you are working online, you may send students in breakout rooms as usually to compare their notes, to work together, and then provide the task on a shared Google Doc, for example, so they can reconstruct together. Okay, the next thing we are going to talk about is error correction. Of course, when we are checking what is the aim of dictation, to practice language, to practice vocabulary, grammar, and we should correct the mistakes then. But we used to have the correction, like collecting the tasks. Correcting them at home, yeah, and giving out to students at the next lesson. It can be if you use the short types of dictations or some kind of picture dictation, running dictation that you do exactly in the classroom and that you do not keep for later, yeah. These tips will help you. So don't correct students while writing. This is actually a golden rule because interrupting breaks listening flow and increases stress. Better save your corrections for after writing is complete. If you are doing the dictation task offline, you may walk around without pointing out mistakes if you notice any, just observing and just keeping typical issues for later, doing the delayed correction. If you are teaching online, you may actually switch off your camera temporarily to avoid unintentionally signaling about mistakes. Uh, and as I said, why we are not correcting the students while they are writing, but using delayed error correction. So we are collecting mistakes for later, and after students finish, we provide structured correction time. So it may be conducted in a way of pair comparison, where students compare in pairs before seeing the keys. It's actually great for building autonomy of students. You may ask to swap the notebooks for offline lessons or send them to the breakout rooms as usually in online lessons. Um, Also, you may do the board or screen display, show the correct text, and highlight some patterns or sections with the possible mistakes, yeah, or common mistakes, like common spelling mistakes, missing articles, incorrect verb endings, punctuation, and any mistakes that you have noticed. So the next one is going to be about encouraging self-correction with hints. So what does that mean? Instead of giving the correct answers immediately, you may guide the students. Uh, you may give some hints while working. For example, check article before apple. Do we need a or the? Or look at this verb. Is it past or present? Or is the adjective spelled correctly? Like think of the sound, yeah, or of the spelling. And there is a great thing that you may provide to your students. You may provide a hint box on the board with common clues. While students are working, you may create some kind of hint box or checklist with checking articles. So they check the articles, check past tenses, check plural forms, check spelling of long adjectives, for example. That will help them a lot and it will encourage self-correction. Okay, how to keep students engaged? How to keep them engaged during this type of tasks, dictations? So, while you may add some movement, yeah, by using running dictation. Um, you may think that it works only for offline lessons, but it's actually not like this. For offline, you may use some short chunks taped far enough to encourage some movement, so students move and run, and you may rotate some roles. And if you would like to do this task online, you may use screen dictation. So what is the idea? You show the text for 7 seconds, for example, hide it, stop sharing, yeah, and students rewrite it from memory. And you repeat the procedure. So one more thing is adding visuals. Yeah, this was we are talking about picture or drawing dictation. Students may draw offline as usually. Yeah, if we are talking about online lessons, Zoom whiteboard, Miro board, mural board, or the paper shown through camera can be also used. The next one is going to be turning dictation into a competition. Students like online games, yeah, where they can compete, like Kahoot, Quizlet, and everything like this. So why not to turn dictation into a competition? You can use some ideas from here. For example, fastest accurate reconstruction wins, and you can give some extra points, extra benefits for your students, right? So the next one is like give team points for teamwork and accuracy, or using a mystery sentence. The team guesses missing words for extra points. And oh my God, just a second. One more thing, how to keep your students engaged and how to help weaker students. If you have some mixed ability groups, you may scaffold it for your learners, help them. What are some ways to scaffold? Providing keywords to weaker students. These are just some examples, but you may provide a word bank. Providing the first letter of difficult words. Let stronger students get a slightly longer text, or color code difficulty levels. So these are actually some classroom strategies that you may use. And as for digital tools, yeah, we have few minutes, but they are only the list of them. So I mentioned some of them during explanations, the types of dictations. They are learning apps, Wordwall for interactive gap dictation. You may also use Google Classroom Drive to share dictation texts. Few more websites where you can find ready-made dictations. It's a daily dictation, a website where you can find ready-made dictations on different topics with audios and their scripts. Vocaroo, it's a website where you can record your text, or students may record their own texts. For example, while when they are ready with their text, they may record it and send it to you. And a few more collaborative tools to work for collaborative work is whiteboard.fi. It's free online whiteboard tool for individual work. So it's actually based from a Kahoot website. So try to have a look at this whiteboard. Students may work individually there, and you may check their writings, and you will get them. So it actually works again also with the code, with the link, so you may check this website. And of course, Padlet, a board for collaborative reconstruction for Dictagloss. And I missed one, the website Youglish. Yeah, it's actually a website where you can where you can listen to some pieces of text from videos, where you type the word, and this website will find you a video including this word or phrase, and you can use it for your dictation practice. So, perfect timing, I guess. So, I would like you to tell me what's one type of dictation you'd like to try at your lessons. So, you've listened to a lot of types of dictations today. So, type your answers in the chat, please. Which one would you like to use at your next lesson? Okay, I'm going to wait for some answers. Okay, I can see some answers. Dictations with music and video, sandwich dictation, drawing. Okay, sandwich dictation is really cool. Bilingual, dictogloss. Yeah, remember that you may rewatch the recording of this webinar, and if you missed the QR code for dictogloss and drawing dictation, you may scan and watch the example. Cool, running dictation. Okay, if you have any more questions in the chat, I guess we can have a 1 more minute. And if you have any more questions, you are welcome to write them in the chat, and we will finish our webinar. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat. I could see also half dictation, gap dictation, yeah, a dictogloss. Cool. All right. Okay, I can see that like you don't have any questions, but have some comments. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, for staying with me, for learning today, spending some time for enhancing your experience. Yeah, I wish you the best in your teaching experience, and thank you so much and have a good evening. Goodbye, everyone.